Welcome to Shaun Show. My name is Shaun. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. It does a lot here for the channel. I appreciate it. And remember, comment down below. I answer every single comment. Join the party. All that good stuff. Now, I want to talk to y'all for a little bit, man. All right, this is what's been kind of bothering me, right? Okay, so you see the Laker hat, right? I'm a Laker fan. Love the Lakers. Now, to keep it 100, to keep it a buck, right? Buck 50, 99 with y'all. I've never, for the majority of my life, I never was a true blue Laker fan. Why? Because when the Lakers were really popping, I'm talking about Shaq and Kobe, the first championship, I really wasn't liking their swag about them. I just didn't like them. Everybody at my high school was really going for the Lakers, and I just wasn't one of them cats that was really, you know, pulling for them. LA was a big thing with the Laker flags. The Laker flags out here had a life of its own. Like, the people were selling Laker flags out, and it was like a thing. And when I mean a Laker flag, there's literally a flag that you put in your window seal of your car, and you drive around town with it. And it was so bad that people were literally stealing Laker flags from people's cars so they could put it on their car. It was a big thing out there, but I think I wasn't really into it because I wasn't really digging Kobe then at the time. I wasn't really digging Shaq. Everybody was talking about him. It was a bandwagon thing, and I wasn't really on it. So you had a guy like me like cheering for the Blazers. You know, like, it was just a weird situation. But as time progressed, and Kobe went through a lot in his career. I think my respect level for him changed when he was going through the trial that he was going through, but he was still playing hard. And you know, when Shaq left, and he was still playing hard, and you know, he didn't have the pieces together, but he was still playing hard. And that's what made me respect him, and that's what made me say, you know, not only do I respect him, I see what the Laker organization is doing, and I started to fall in love with the Lakers again. So I say all that to say this: I'm not going to give you a review from a die-hard Laker fan perspective, because it would be very hypocritical of me to say that I'm a die-hard Laker fan, because people who know me know that I haven't been like that for all of my life. The only thing I'm a die-hard fan of is the Green Bay Packers. I've been a Packer fan since I've watched football. I just thought that was just an incredibly crazy name, the Green Bay Packers. And then they had the green and the yellow, and people with cheese heads on. So as a kid, I was like, oh, I like them. So I'm concerned, and I'm speaking from a level of concern, not just from the Lakers, but also from the Brooklyn Nets. I'm concerned, and this is what I'm concerned about. I'm concerned from the standpoint that everybody seems in today's NBA that they just want to call it in, that they just want to take whatever's happening during the regular season. Now, mind you, it was a very short, condensed season. You know, a lot of injuries to major players, a lot of, you know, if you play fantasy sports, like, this has been, I've never had to every single day manage my fantasy roster because somebody is out or injured. Like, every day during the season, every day, maybe minus the first 2 weeks, there was some sort of maneuvering that had to happen to get, you know, my fantasy squad to where it was. And I know a lot of you guys are in the same boat with that. If you play fantasy sports, you got a guy like James Harden who, like, never misses games, you know, sitting out. You got a guy like, you know, LeBron, who very rarely gets injured sitting out. You know, it was just craziness if you play fantasy sports. But that's fantasy sports. It's not real life, right? In real life, my concern is how these these top tier teams are handling going into the postseason. Now, as I'm recording this, Anthony Davis has been relinquished all minute restrictions. So I don't know how the game is going on tonight. In fact, I think the game, as I'm taping this, is going to be starting soon. So I don't know how he did, but let's just assume that he did good, because now he has the time, he's getting his legs up under him. Okay, great. When I saw Anthony Davis play in these first couple of games coming back, and he's making comments around the fact that, hey, you know, this becomes a situation where I gotta know people again. I gotta relearn their strategy. I gotta relearn their chemistry. I gotta relearn, you know. When I'm hearing that so late in the season, it concerns me. What also concerns me, and I'm talking about the Lakers and I'm gonna talk about Brooklyn, is that, you know, the head of the snake, LeBron James, you know, he's putting videos out. I saw a video today where he was running, doing suicides up and down the court. But he's not ready for in-game action. I don't get how we're skipping the process that needs to happen and underestimating these teams like the Clippers, like the Suns, who have been together the majority of the season and have a rhythm and they're very, very tough. I don't see how we're just going to just jump over the West. How we're just going to jump over the Utah Jazz. Now, they got the NBA and the Western Conference, primarily the Western Conference, got a big break, unfortunately, due to Jamal Murray's injury. But if Jamal Murray was in, and you had him in the Joker, and the Clippers, and the Suns, and they're competing. You know, and in Portland, you know, I didn't really mention Portland because they've kind of been a disappointment this year. They took 2 steps back. It seems like the season before last, they were, you know, a force to be reckoned with, and then the bubble happened, and it was like, okay, you're still good, but it kind of like they took a step back to me. Then now this year they took a major step back. I think in that situation you need a new head coach. You know, Terry Stotts is a very good coach, but sometimes you need another voice in the room. But that's another topic. What I'm saying is that you cannot cheat the process. You have to put the work in. Now, this has been great for the bench players that have been able to, you know, get minutes and stuff like that. For THT, it's been great for him. Kuzma, great for him. Dennis Schroeder, great for him. But when you got a guy like LeBron coming back, who's going to take over ball handling responsibilities, and you got a guy like AD, who is he's back, but he's going to get acclimated more as a focus point in the offense. It's not the same team, and it's not the same roles, and it's not the same lineups and change-ups. So I'm very concerned from the Lakers standpoint, because I just feel that the Lakers organization says, we won the championship last year, right? We're good enough. LeBron can come in and figure it out. But we don't have those pieces that we had last year. We don't have Rondo. We don't have JaVale McGee. And we don't have Dwight Howard. We don't have the Avery Bradley. He was big for us, even though he opted out of going to the bubble. But he was big for us. We don't have that anymore. So since we don't have that anymore, now we have to think that we cannot be in the mind state of that we'll just figure this out. We cannot just figure this out, because this team, as it stands right now, with Ben McLemore being in, with AD being out, Andre Drummond being in, new rotations, because the other game they did a DNP to Montrez. Like, with all these new things that the coaching staff is kind of figuring out, and new pieces that they're trying to implement in, you cannot afford to skip the process. And that's what I feel that the Laker organization is doing. Now, they have a right to do that more so than the Brooklyn Nets, and this is why. Brooklyn, to me, has been cocky. Brooklyn, to me, has been that organization, that group that is really, they really don't give a you know what about what your narrative is. They don't care that the narrative is that they haven't played together. They don't care that the narrative is that their defense is not strong enough. They don't care that their narrative is that you have a first-time head coach who's never been to the playoffs as a head coach. They don't care about the narrative of LaMarcus Aldridge, who was going to, and when I talk about fantasy squads, he was on my fantasy squad, but something happened to him during a game against the Lakers that made him retire. His heart was beating so fast out of his chest, and I guess it's some sort of disease. I don't know exactly what it is or thing that he has, but his heart was beating so fast out of his chest that it scared him to death enough that he wanted to retire, right? And a lot of the offense was being ran through LaMarcus. A major part of the offense was being ran through LaMarcus. So to me, it's just crazy that here we are as an organization, the Brooklyn Nets, and we're cocky. We're cocky because we've never been to the playoffs together as a team. We're just, it's just ridiculous to me. I don't know. I'm gonna look at my phone here real quick. Let me see. I was trying to see if I can pull. I may not be able to pull. I'm not gonna have you guys because I'm not gonna put a bunch of editing on this. But because I just like to sit down and talk to y'all sometimes, and this is one of those times I just want to send out. So I'll look. I was trying to find a stat. I don't know exactly how many minutes that they played with each other, but I think it's a little bit over 100, if that. I could be overestimating it. I don't know. But you haven't been in the deep water yet. You haven't challenged yourself yet. You haven't been in a situation where none of your offense is working, none of your defense is working, and now you have to figure out how to make a play and how to make a stop. You haven't been in that situation yet. You haven't been in that situation where you're in a knockdown, drag-out 7-game series with somebody and your shots ain't hitting, your shots ain't falling, the ref is not giving you the friendly whistle. You haven't been in those situations. So I don't know where the cockiness comes from, and it's primarily, I can't say it's KD, because KD has kind of the same type of mentality and narrative whenever you see him. Like he says, I'm Kevin Durant. It's been the same like that. I can't say that it's been James Harden, because James Harden has come humbly to the team and has completely just melted into whatever role that they wanted him to do. And it helps that Mike D'Antoni's there because he coached him on his MVP seasons. He knows James Harden's game. It's Kyrie. Kyrie is kind of the voice of the team, kind of the spokesperson of it. When you make comments like we don't really need a coach, when you make comments like I'm happy to finally have somebody that I know that can make that shot on the other side of the court, when you're facing the Lakers and you're talking to LeBron and you're saying to LeBron, oh, that's your best free throw shooter, and you just have a level of arrogance and cockiness, and there's no reason to have it because you haven't been tested. You haven't played long enough. You've taken days off for no reason. Personal matters. Like, you can't expect that this NBA season that you're seeing and these teams that you're running through, you can't expect this to be the same situation when you get to the playoffs, because it's not going to be the same situation. It's not going to be a breeze. People are going to put pressure on you. They're going to hit you. They're going to block you. You're not going to be able to do all that and one stuff because they're going to clog the lane. They're going to dare you to shoot and win the game. That's what they're going to do. They're going to that's how they beat D'Antoni teams in the playoffs before. Yeah, shoot the ball. Shoot it. Let's see how many you can actually make contested with my hand in your face. Let's see how you are when you come off that pick and roll and I body you. That's how they're going to play the Brooklyn Nets, and you walk around cocky, and you're trying to take this particular process and cheat it, and you can't do it. You can't do it if you're the Lakers. You can't do it if you're Brooklyn. You can't do it, period, because no NBA team in history has won a championship by cheating the process. What happened last year with the Clippers, they tried to cheat the process and they got sent home early. You can't do it no matter how great you are on paper, no matter how great your coach is. You cannot do it. And that's what brings me to my point. These NBA playoffs are going to be something to watch because the two favorites have just basically dialed it in for the regular season. And I cannot wait to see when they face a team that is not afraid of who they are, not afraid of what they've done, and want all that smoke. Like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you next time.